Dan, good morning, man. Thanks for the time.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. We're getting ready to come down to New Orleans on Sunday. We're very excited. I heard you just talking about our time with Joe Burrow. It's going to be great, and he is a stone cold killer.
He is. He is a killer.
He's a sociopath.
Well, what did you learn about Burrow in that hour that you spent with him?
Honestly, he actually came, and he's a very cool guy. He actually hung out. He and his brothers hung out and watched some NFL football with us that day after we did the interview. But there's something about him that it's just that it factor where you're around these athletes and you see something in their eyes where you know that if you were in a locker room with them, you would absolutely submit to them and have them be the alpha because you'd follow them through the depths of hell. Like, that is what Joe Burrow does. Yeah. Even just it's a quiet confidence about him that you can't even put your finger on where you're like, that guy has it.
So if Joe's the one you want to go into competition with, Dan's the one you want to hit the all-night rager with, right? The brother?
Yes, big time. So that was the coolest part about it is, like, Dan is a big Pardon My Take fan, and Joe was also a big listener. So it's one of those pinch yourself moments because he wins the Heisman. He probably goes out that night. He has fun, celebrates with his family. And then the next morning at 11 a.m., 12 a.m., he's in our studio with the Heisman Trophy hanging out. And he was like, yeah, this is the only thing I really wanted to do, like, for media. And it was great because he was very relaxed and had a great time, and it was fun to talk to him in a relaxed environment.
I mean, what's that journey been like for you, Dan, though? Because, like, when this starts, you're just a big sports fan. You start the sports blog, whatever, podcast. And now, like you said, instead of you being the fan to the athletes are now the fan of you. Like, Burrow is notorious for hating media. Just really, he does his obligations, but he doesn't really enjoy it. And yet he was legitimately excited to go on with y'all.
Yeah, it's cool. That evolution is always like a pinch yourself moment, especially when the Heisman's sitting right in front of you. And it helps us so much in these situations where guys actually want to come on. And I think it's a testament to PFT, myself, Hank, and the whole crew, because we try to make it a comfortable environment where it's like, hey, we're never going to do a gotcha interview.
Yeah.
If you want a gotcha interview, if you want someone who's trying to make a headline, you can go somewhere else. We're trying to have fun and show a different side because, like you just said, when guys do media, they're usually uptight. They usually don't want to do it. So to us, it's like we just want to show the different side, a relaxed side of, hey, this is a human being too, and they like to have fun and just kind of joke around.
And kind of in line with that, Dan, y'all have been on the Orgeron bandwagon since the interim. I remember after the
Since
Florida
he was the defensive
loss,
line coach.
Yeah, I remember after the Florida loss, y'all talking about, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. And at that point, it felt like probably wasn't going to get the head job, right? What's it been like from afar watching go from that interim coach to now kind of viewed as like one of the best coaches in the entire country?
It's been incredible. And I've been on the Coach O train since he was the interim at USC.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I'm a degenerate gambler, and I always been looking for an edge. And when Coach O takes over a team, he has that, that piss and vinegar and that like
grit.
Extra, the grit that's coming through where he can get guys to run through a brick wall. So when he took over for USC, we started betting on him. We're like, this guy's going to have these players playing. Like, if you have a team that has talent, Coach O will maximize that talent. And there have definitely been times where, a lot of people have said that he doesn't have it. And it's just a testament to his evolution because I think he would tell you himself. The O that coached at Ole Miss is not the same guy that's coaching LSU right now.
Yeah.
And I saw a quote a couple weeks ago where he just said, like, hey, all I'm doing is trying to get the ball to my playmakers. And that's kind of it. Like, it feels like he has simplified what LSU is, and it's let's get the best guys, let's motivate them, let's coach them, and then let's let them make plays. And let's go play anyone. I actually made this point when the college football playoff, when all of the coaches start talking about their conference and saying, you hear Dabo being like, we beat everyone, and they all start getting on the soapbox for each other. And Coach O said, we'll play anyone, anywhere.
Straight up.
Care. Like, we don't care. And that's the type of energy that he brings, where he's like, the confidence is there, and he has become an exceptional head coach.
Big Cat from Pardon My Take podcast over at Barstool Sports. He's on Twitter at Barstool Big Cat. is joining us here on Off the Bench, presented by All-Star Toyota, ESPN, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Alexandria. You mentioned being a degenerate gambler. Help me out here because I'm in the middle of the forest. But I see it this way, Dan. LSU's -5.5 on Monday night with Joe Burrow as their quarterback in New Orleans playing for LSU and a national championship. I want to put my kids' tuition on this game. Do you see it any other way?
No, I don't see it any other way. I'm going to put my lungs on it. I'm going to put my kidneys, my liver, everything. Listen, the only thing that I would throw out there as a contrarian is the time off, and obviously they played in the college football, the playoff semifinals. But that's one game in the last month and a half. So these final games always start a little slow, and that would probably favor Clemson just because you'd expect LSU to have more explosive, more dynamic offense than Clemson if they're both at their peak. So maybe the start is a little bit closer, and I probably will take the first half under because it just always feels like these games are a little tight. You know what I mean? Like they come out, they're a little tight, they try to feel each other out. But if LSU starts playing their game, Clemson can't hang with them. Ohio State was better than Clemson. Ohio State was the better team that night. They just made the mistakes that, and maybe some ref issues that cost them the game. So I think LSU, if they play their game, it will be a 2-3 score win.
Talking to Dan Katz, a.k.a. Big Cat. You know him from Part of My Take. Dan, you mentioned how you loved O for so many years. What was it like? Do you have any memories or any stories from the first time that you actually got to sit down in a room with O and interview him or talk to him?
I remember just we went to the facility, and it was the old facility. So they were still – I think they were opening the new facility a month or two later. And we walked in, and he comes out of his office. And just the energy, like it is. You guys have obviously spent time with him. The energy that kind of is around him is indescribable. He just makes you happy just being around him, and he's got that like slap you on the back, and you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. So, and I want to just throw this out there. I think this gets lost in history, and I know I'm sure there's some Les Miles fans still out there, and he still has, holds some weight around the state of Louisiana. But I went to the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And I want credit because the Badgers are the reason why Coach O is your coach right now.
True.
Because we beat you guys.
That's right.
We beat you guys
in Lambeau.
Bart Houston beat you guys, and that was basically the end for Les Miles. So I want at least partial credit for starting this whole thing.
Who was the quarterback that day? Hornibrook?
No, it's Bart Houston.
Okay.
Great name, bad quarterback.
Yes.
Great name, bad quarterback.
Actually, Wisconsin should have beaten LSU back-to-back years. Y'all blew it in Houston the year before as well.
Yes.
So thank you for eventually bringing us Eddie O'Cat. I got to ask you about something else. So I've been doing this radio for a while too, right? Like since I got out of college, and recently a couple of years ago I had a baby. I have another baby on the way. I am not nearly as busy as y'all are. Y'all seem like y'all have projects and stuff going on all the time. You are now Dad Cat. What has it been like trying to kind of figure out how to have a family and everything while you're working constantly and on the road?
It's been crazy. It's been awesome, but it's been crazy. It's one of those things that everyone says it changes you, and you're like, oh, okay, sure. But then it happens, and you're like, okay, now I understand. Like, yeah, my life has changed. There is this, you live your whole life up until you have a child where you are the star of your movie that's going on in your brain.
Yeah.
And then a little kid shows up and you're like, okay, that's the star. Like, that guy's more important than me. He just took my role, and that's fine. Like, I'd rather have him be the star. And that weird feeling where it's like, oh, I'm living for something other than myself. Like, maybe I shouldn't be selfish all the time. Maybe I should try to help out a little more. So it's been fun. I don't really do the social media. Like, what I find is a lot of people end up just complaining about having kids on social media. And I always just think about the fact that, like, in 15 years, if my son pops on Twitter or the internet and sees a bunch of videos and podcasts and and tweets of me being like, I hate being a dad. I hate this kid. Like,
He
so I don't
sucks.
do any of that stuff. There's bad times, but there's also, like, the good times always outweigh it.
Yeah.
So it's been great, and there's been some frustrating moments, but they are few and far between when you put it in the big picture.
So my phone is blowing up right now with all my buddies listening, saying, invite him to our tailgate this weekend, man. Tell him to stop by. What's going on in New Orleans?
Yeah, I'm sure that.
So,
never
yeah,
happened.
right. So what are your plans for the national championship when you guys make it to New Orleans?
So we got none right now. We're coming in Sunday. I think we're going to do an airport review of New Orleans.
It's great.
So-
It's a great new
A
airport.
little traffic on the way out. Watch the traffic on the way out.
Whoa. Okay.
It-
We'll see.
I actually had one of the funniest moments of my life was in the airport in New Orleans. I went to I think it was like 4 or 5 years ago, WrestleMania, when Undertaker lost his streak.
Yes.
And I was walking in the airport the Monday after, and there was a woman sitting waiting for her flight, and she had a sign that was like 21-0. And she was the saddest person I've ever seen. She was bringing her sign back with her after Undertaker had lost. And I was like, "Damn, that's tough." Like it was an all-time moment. But so we're gonna land on Sunday. We have to obviously watch the games and do our own show Sunday. But yeah, Sunday night once the games are over, we're gonna go out. Monday we're gonna be out all day. We got the lucky setup where usually we kind of get screwed because Sunday night we have to tape. So we always have to, like Super Bowl, we're taping right after. The big games, we're taping right after. Monday night, we don't have a show on Tuesday, so we're going to let a little loose on Monday night.
Love it.
When we get into the Superdome for the game.
I absolutely love it. All right, Kat. As on the way out here, so a lot of this interview, right? We've talked about how big y'all have gotten and everything. Who's the most famous person in your cell phone?
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll say Derek Command.
Okay, I was going to follow that up with want to call him, but now, I don't know. Yeah, I guess not. I don't know.
Big Cat, we'll see you this weekend, man. Thanks for the time. This was cool.
All right, thanks, guys. See you soon.